This week, we highlight another life well lived. The first Medal of Honor was awarded to an American soldier in 1863 for valor in the Civil War. In the century and a half since, only about 3,000 members of the United States Armed Forces have received the country's highest military decoration. Today, 70 of them are still with us. Bennie Adkins was born the son of a farmer and one of 7 children, growing up in a small town in Dust Bowl, southern Oklahoma. He was drafted into the Army in 1956. Adkins was a Green Beret sergeant in March of 1966 when his camp in South Vietnam was ambushed. For 38 hours, he held off the enemy and provided medical aid to the wounded, even as he suffered 18 different wounds himself. Adkins stayed behind as the last American evacuation helicopter left the scene. He then led a 48-hour escape, taking his group to safety and rescue. After retiring from the Army, Adkins graduated from college, then earned a pair of master's degrees and opened his own accounting firm. He later taught adult education and started the Bennie Adkins Foundation, which offers college scholarships to members of the Special Forces as they transition out of the military and into civilian life. On September 15, 2014, Sergeant Major Adkins joined an elite group when President Obama awarded him the Medal of Honor for his actions over those 4 days in Vietnam nearly a half-century earlier.
The first thing you need to know is when Benny and I met in the Oval Office, he asked if he could sign back up. His lovely wife was not amused.
Sergeant Major Bennie Adkins, an American hero, died last month at a hospital in Opelika, Alabama, of complications from coronavirus. He was 86 years old. He will be buried at Arlington National Cemetery alongside his late wife, Mary.